I'm Ariana.
And my name's Ryan.
And this is
I wear Grippy socks.
She wears no strings, I wear Grippy socks. She's in the psych ward, I'm in the detox.
A mental health podcast by two know-nothing millennials from a seriously non-clinical viewpoint.
This episode may contain graphic content, so please be advised.
And remember, thank you for being here.
All right, guys, welcome back to another week of I Wear Grippy Socks. This is going to be a fun, interesting week because we have two very special guests with us today. We're very excited to have them on, both of our parents. So they're siblings, I guess, if that makes sense. I think we've talked about them in the past, but, before we get started, we're going to go around. We'll ask how you feeling. We'll start with Ryan, and then we'll go around and also say your name and introduce yourself as well, guys.
Easy enough. I am so far so good, I suppose. We'll see how this episode goes, or the remaining few days that Mom and Dad are here. But I'm doing all right. How are you, Mom?
I'm petrified. I'm nervous. I'm happy to be here, though. Thank you for having me. And whenever my brother and I get together, there's no telling how it might turn out. So
that is true.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's good. That's good. And what about you, Dad?
Well, it's an honor to be here, and anything to help my sister psychoanalyze her problems and her need for Prozac and whatever else she takes or should take, because if there's ever a person that needs drugs, it's my sister. Clearly. So it's an honor to be here. Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Anything to help the family. And Ryan, I'm with you, brother. It's going to be tough.
That's right. We're going to pull through. We're going to be all right.
Absolutely.
We got drugs on standby.
And
just
by the
in
way,
case.
I just want to make one statement before we begin. Mark is a god, and I'll just leave it at that.
Mark is my father, everyone.
Yeah, so you're in the loop.
Yeah, I would do him if I were gay. He's that great of a man.
I can't.
All right, perfect.
Well, I guess we'll transition on how I am feeling today on that comment. I'm doing good. Obviously, as you already can feel, the room is full of tension. I will say, I guess starting off, they are very opposites for sure. Our parents, without a doubt. So definitely, this is going to be. We've been talking about this episode nonstop, so
right.
I'm excited for this. How this is really going to play out and go out. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The first thing we wanted to ask you guys, and I think you could kind of briefly see some of it is in context, is just your view on mental health. I know. I just want to start off there, like what you think of mental health and what it means to you. I know literally there's a big polar opposite here. I guess briefly with Dad, at least from my experience, is that he, it's taken him some while to understand what mental health is. And I don't know if you want to, what like a brief description of what mental health is to you.
If you're starting with me, I think you're insane if you have a problem. I mean, get over it. You know, that was my big issue with Teresa, who I loved. We were married and she just couldn't, she had depression, and I couldn't understand it. I didn't relate with it. I go, what is your freaking problem? Get over it. I mean, why are you like down and depressed? Everything's wonderful. Every day you wake up and you take a big breath, you should be rejoicing. Make love to the person you love. Enjoy your life. Quit complaining. If you got problems, who doesn't have problems? Get over them. That's what makes you get up every morning to tackle your problems. I think you're a bunch of losers when you freaking complain, oh, my head, I can't feel good, I'm so depressed. I hate that.
So for context, right, you've never been to, have you ever gone to therapy or have you ever even looked into seeing a therapist or seeing a diagnosis?
My life is therapy. I speak, I talk to people, I get counseling from people every day. I just focus on the positive. That's why there's so many screwed up people today, is you've got to be positive minded and create a feeling of self-belief, and if you have that, I think everything's wonderful.
That's a hard one. What
How do you feel about that, Mom?
Yeah,
I think that is total bullshit. I think it's so ignorant. It's such an ignorant attitude for someone who's so educated. I think unless you walk in those shoes, you have no idea what it's like to try to just get to what I call it a level playing field when you're struggling with depression. And I'm not even talking about heavy duty depression. I'm talking about even people who have persistent depressive disorder, who it takes everything out of them to go to work, and that that's and they struggle day to day, and it's hormonal. It's for me, in my personal opinion, it can be hormonal, it can be chemical, it's physical. You cannot just wake up one day and decide you're not going to be freaking depressed. And I'm sure there are personality types who might play it up, but there are legit depression. And I think that as far as medication goes, I think it can help a lot of people.
I'm not saying there's no depression. I'm saying you got to get over your problems. There's people who, they have an excuse for everything. And yeah, okay, you're depressed. Go to work, create the thing. The word I love in Spanish is oración, which is the word for prayer. And it means prayer with action. You can pray the gay out of you. You can try to pray this or that. But it's about you getting up and doing something. Action. So if you're down, get up. That's all I'm saying. And that's that. And I'm not saying you're not depressed or people aren't depressed. I saw that directly. It caused a divorce with my wife, Teresa. And I was very immature and didn't understand that. But I didn't have time to deal with it. And that's terrible to say. But, I mean, if you can't at least acknowledge you have issues and get help, then don't put it on all the people around you, your children, your husband, it's just so not fair. I mean, and that's where I deal with it. You got to deal with your problems, be it mental or others. You don't have money, you work for it. You want to be strong, you lift weights. And that's how I approach it. And if people don't like it, well, that's too bad. I run a business. I got to make payroll every 2 weeks. And if you got problems and you can't come to work, well, get the hell out of the way, because we've got to make payroll. And if we don't do that because of your problems, and we have tons of people in the office. I mean, I've got like 20 people, and they all have issues, and some are depressed. I've just dealt with one this week, and I'm sorry. Life goes on.
Yeah, but I feel like there is a big part of like how these actions aren't something that we choose to have. A lot of the time when you're having anxiety or depression, it's not something that, this is where I want to be. I feel like for me personally, I get a lot of my personality from you. I can be really personable. I can be on the spot. I can be a go-getter. But when there's times when you just literally just feel like you can't do those things, and you can try and you can put the face on, and yes, you have to hustle and you have to pick yourself up, and you can't just stop. You can't stop it, and that's 100% true.
Well,
but
I think it's
the
also
acknowledgement.
You're a woman. I mean, I'm going to say this, and this will be another controversial thing. I deal with an office full of women, and they are different than men. They handle their problems differently. They fight differently. I mean, guys will go at it. They'll beat each other up, and next week they're drinking beers together. A woman holds the aggression and hatreds towards another woman for years, and quietly they're backstabbing that woman all day. And then they got issues that are completely different that I'm used to. And now women are in the adult, if you will, work world. They have to function, get up every goddamn morning, and go to work and make the living. There's no excuses. So, I mean, this is part of the problem. I agree there are problems, and I don't have the hormonal issues that a lot of women do, but you have to deal with it.
You don't believe, though, that, like, even with you personally, like this past year, I feel like a lot of people have gone through a lot of shit, and I feel like, personally, I've watched you also struggle, even after bringing up, after Stella, our grandma passed, or your mom, I feel like that was a big, tough time, and you feel like you can't relate to someone of that feeling unable to, like, do and feel those emotions. I know as women,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you don't have emotions. I'm not saying you don't cry. I'm not saying you're not depressed. I said get over it, work on it. Whatever it is. Look, a lot of people need a God. I'm not religious at all. I think it's a foolish thing. I think faith is a joke. But you need a crutch. Okay, use the damn crutch. Get up and go to work. Pray to your God. Do whatever. Islam, whatever. Do whatever you need to do to get up and go. But to sit around wallowing in your self-pity is just pathetic. Get over it. I'm not speaking at you. I'm just speaking in general.
You have just thrown so much crap out there that we can talk about, but the bottom line and what we started with was about depression and about it. You're saying it's bullshit, and I'm saying it's not.
No, I'm saying get over it.
That's not what you said when you started talking the first time. That's what you're saying now. That's not what you said. And you can't.
Riled your ass up.
Yeah, well, I mean, people have legit mental health struggles. Mm-hmm. And yes, ideally you can, power through it. You can do things, you can exercise, you can meditate. There are things you should and can do to make yourself feel better. But the bottom line is not everyone is on the same, and I call it this is the example. You're not on the same, on a level playing field. So when you're depressed, you have to dig out to get to where most people feel every day, that normal feeling.
Do that.
And that is right. And there are different ways to get there. But it's a legit issue. And it's not just a, hey, today I'm not going to be depressed.
Is it genetic?
Very possibly. I think you have issues whether you want to admit it or not. And I know I do. And
it's amazing how a lot of people always try to psychoanalyze me and tell me what I feel and what I think. And they're usually very wrong. I mean, everybody has depressive moments or are not up.
That's not what we're
My
talking
point
about.
is, well, I don't have anything worse than that. I enjoy being alive. I love every minute of waking up and having a problem. Teresa will tell you that if I don't have a problem, I'm going to invent one, because I thrive with my back against the wall. When it's easy, it's boring. And so, I mean, that's the way I'm made up. You're an introvert, I'm an extrovert. You know, it's just the way it is. And you can't make people be what they're not. I'm just saying, I got to run a business. The train has to run on schedule. The plane has to you're a pilot, get your ass out there and fly the damn plane and quit complaining.
Do you ever think that pouring yourself into so much work or so much travel is a way to kind of avoid dealing with some of your emotions?
I don't know about dealing with my emotions. I enjoy it. I mean, I get off on it.
Yeah.
I love traveling. I thank my parents for, pulling us all over the country and making us move. I mean, I love it. And I don't understand why you don't, let's keep our children in one place. Don't take them out of school because they're going to... Bullshit. Just make them see the world and live the world. That's my motto. That's me. I'm not forcing that on anybody else. I'm just saying I thrive on that.
Not practical for a lot of
they
people.
choose not to make it. You make your desk. Listen, Ryan, of all people, you came to my freaking office, and
I'm not talking about myself.
I'm talking about you now. You came to my office, and you don't belong in an office. You would die in an office. I saw you, and I thought, okay, we'll put him in the office and make him. No, it's not your destiny. Your destiny is not to be traditional guy with 2.3 kids in suburbia. That's not you. If you do that, I'll choke on disappointment. I mean, I saw you do your stand-up comedy, and I almost cried. I was so proud of you. You are talented and creative, and if they force you to do traditional shit, you die.
Right. Well,
and
again,
that's the way I look at it.
I wasn't necessarily talking about myself.
Well, I'm just saying me. It's the same thing. I'm who I am. Allison's who she is. Ariana's who she is. You got to be who you are. And I think you get depressed when you're forced to do what you're not, what your destiny doesn't tell you to be.
I think there definitely a little smidgen in there. I think obviously, I think there's the aspect of what like money can provide you and what the abilities that leads those doors open to the privilege. I think once again, being aware of our privileges, doesn't stop you from being depressed no matter what. But obviously money
is an excuse.
Yeah, but
you
money
want to fly,
helps.
work for the airlines like I did. You want to do something, go do it. Cruise, work on a cruise ship. There is always a million excuses, and that's the problem with people. No. Create your destiny, follow it, and become who you need to be. And if you're not following your destiny, you're going to be damn depressed. Maybe who you're married to, you hate it. You don't like living in the city. You don't like your job. I don't know. Change it, and you might be extremely happy. Follow your destiny.
I disagree, honestly. I don't think changing the outside is the answer. I think that then a lot of times we're just looking for the next thing. We're chasing, and I don't think
you're realigning yourself to your inner soul of where you need to be. That's what I'm talking about. I don't mean you have to move. You have to listen to your inner soul and your heart, and it has a destiny where to go. And when your parents are saying turn right and it's screaming to go left, you go left.
That's right. Now we're going on the shoulder.
But if that's your destiny, do it. You know what the worst thing is growing old and wondering what would have happened if.
That's right.
You're a failure if you can say that. You go find out what the hell your destiny is going to be.
Yeah, but I think there is. But some people are also not as like. I don't know the word I want to use. Like. Things are scary, okay? And the world, okay, yes, okay, but it is, the world, I feel like I personally am someone who's like stuck in the middle of like being like adventurous, but also having like severe anxiety at times. But exactly, but it like, so to say though, you just have to like go out and do it. Okay, I'm going out and doing it, but I'm still having these problems. So like, how do I fix those problems?
You're doing the podcast, aren't you?
Yeah,
Okay?
exactly.
All right, you're following your destiny. You did the YouTube
But I'm still
channel.
depressed.
Look, and you guys, they haven't mentioned it, but she had a YouTube channel, Sailing Mischief. Watch it. Look at it. It's still up. I'm very proud of that. To sail a boat without experience from Grenada around the world, sink it in Hurricane Irma. That's, what do you mean you don't follow your destiny?
No, okay. Another turn, I guess. Also, like to you, both of you guys lived a very around the world global childhood, and how do you feel like that played into it? I know we've talked a lot, mentioned in the past, even moving all the time, like how that could, for you, someone who is extremely let's freaking go, and someone who is more of a homebody, which I can definitely relate to that. Like I feel like that would also have a lot of psychological issues for like long term to be constantly going somewhere in 5 minutes. I don't know.
For me, we grew up overseas. Our dad worked for the U.S. government, and we moved about every couple years, not to exotic places, mostly to really remote African countries.
I thought they were exotic.
Oh yeah, they are exotic in their own way, but I mean, it's not like we were living in Paris. And although I did live in Rome, I did graduate from high school in Rome and did my first 2 years in college. But in general, when we moved, we lived in
third world countries.
And so, but we traveled all the time. It was nothing to, I was 10 days old when I went on my first trip. My mom and dad were living in Ghana, and my mom was going to have a C-section, so they had her fly to Frankfurt, Germany, so she could give birth to me on a U.S. Army base. And then we flew back to Ghana, and then we moved every 2 or 3 years. It's a beautiful experience for me. It's like a past life. It is literally a past life. There is my pre-North Carolina life, which was traveling a lot, and I feel like it was just a really, truly a different life. And now I've been in the same part of North Carolina for 34 years, and do not travel.
That's why you're depressed.
I don't regret. There's no point in regretting anything. Sometimes now I do wish I traveled more, but I do not. There was a point, this is I think what my brother likes to focus on. When I was in 9th grade, and we were in Sarasota, we were in the States, and I was really happy, and I was getting my groove, and my dad said, hey, we're moving to Lesotho. Well, guess what? Who the hell knows where Lesotho is? No one's heard of Lesotho. It's an African country, in case y'all don't know. Completely surrounded by South Africa. I cried when I saw the plane. The National Airway, be quiet, CJ. The National Airway, the official jet, sat like 12 people.
It's not a jet, it was a prop.
Okay, I'm just saying, this is where I'm going. I'm going somewhere in the middle of nowhere when I'm 15 and I just want stability and I want to go to a regular high school.
People in Lesotho would say they're not in the middle of nowhere.
Anyway, so that's where that's the time in my life when I really just wanted a hometown. I didn't have a hometown, and I remember crying in kindergarten when someone asked me where I was from because I didn't know how to answer that. So there are benefits, but for me at the time when I was getting ready to start high school, I really was hoping we could stay put. But we didn't. But to make a long story short, it all worked out. I ended up going to a boarding school in Rome. It was fabulous. And
again, there is nothing negative about the whole experience. And I think it's a mistake of epic proportions to keep your children in one community all their life. You're failing in this changing, ever-changing world. That we are so close. The world is shrinking. You better learn other languages. You better understand different cultures. It's just wrong. And you think, well, I want to raise my children now. Nothing stays the same. Everything's always moving and in a direction. We're moving forward. We're not going back. We're not going to go back to a time of whenever America this or that. We're going forward, and it's more of a global world. And I revel in that fact that I had those opportunities. And I still travel. Every 2 weeks I'm overseas.
But raise your children however you want to. It's your choice.
Depressive or non-depressive?
No one should judge you.
I think
how you raise your
I was about to say, I feel like, really looking at it, I feel like what's important is also seeing the two sides of the story. Like you said, you guys lived through nearly almost the same experience, but come out with such a different perspective on how it was for the both of you.
Well, I think it deals with my parents, and let me explain my logic behind it. My sister's way smarter than me. I'm the lawyer. No, she is brilliant. And I ask, why did she choose the path she did? And I believe it's on my parents, and I'll explain. I think we are the product of what our parents decided we would be. I was number one. I was dad. I'm the son. I'm their traditional old people who believe that guys, have professionals. Women are supposed to get the degree, college, find a good man, which she did. Mark is exceptional, an incredible guy. And when she got married to Mark, we were all so happy and blessed. Because as a father, a mother, and now as a dad, I want the best guy for my daughter. I mean, I never, back in the day, I thought that'd be stupid, but now I understand why my dad was so happy. I love Mark. And for my sister's sake, I don't know about their personal life, and I'm not talking about that. But as a person, he's amazing. So, we were raised differently, is my point. And I like to hear her point. But she was raised to go to college and get a degree, which she did. And then to find a guy and get married, which she did. And to have children, which she did. 3 really wonderful boys, which she did.
2.
So, yeah, that's true. Yeah. There's 2 wonderful boys and 1 exceptional. But anyway, but the point is that she is a success in my parents' eyes, bar none. Unless she gets divorced.
I'm a success in my own eyes.
Well, of course, but I'm telling you, I'm talking about my parents. And then for me, I was expected to be a professional and to support and do that because that's traditional America. I'm not saying I support traditional America. I believe your children end up a lot the way they do based on what the parents did.
And I don't know. That's a bit hard to. I don't know.
That's a topic you need to explore because I really believe you are the influence of the parents. If you're a girl and you see your dad wear a suit every morning and go to work, more likely you're going to marry a guy that wears a suit and goes to work. If your father's a construction guy, more likely you're going to be with a construction guy. That's a fact. I mean, generally, not 10% break the mold, but 90% stay within the mold they're used to.
I would just like to say that I totally disagree on his opinion on my parents and what they dreamt for me to be. I think if I had decided to go to law school, they would have supported me going to law school.
Yes.
I don't think that anything my parents did was a deterrent to my professional life or lack of choices. I don't think I was. I don't feel like they boxed me into being a good wife and mother. I think those were all my own choices. And what I've done with my life have been my own choices.
They are your own choices, but they're based on the influences you had growing up. And I know for a fact, Mom, and I know this for a fact, I've talked to her about it, I've talked to Dad about it, they would support you 100% in anything you do, but I also know they consider you a great success as a woman.
That's right, because that's my choice. But no matter what, I don't feel like they pushed me in that direction. I don't think they encouraged me just to be and I use quotes, to be a wife and mom. I mean,
You're encouraged by the actions of our mother. It may not be a direct, it's the way they raise us. That's why we think and work the way we do. It's because of the influences around us, be it parents, teachers, coaches. That's what makes the difference in each and every one of our lives.
Maybe in some cases, but not in mine.
Of course not yours.
No, I am where I am because those are the decisions.
You're not influenced by anybody. I know that.
The decisions I made. I'm saying my
definitely
parents,
not influenced by me.
My parents did not.
Of course not.
Did not affect my. I think a lot was my self-esteem, and that's hurt me all my life.
Most important,
not from my parents.
The most important thing a father and mother can do to their child, the only thing that matters is self-esteem. And I remember a show that you had, Ariana, a while back when you were saying that I didn't believe in you. That's not true. We pulled you out of the one thing I'm so proud about you, because I know you have dyslexia, is that you in 3rd grade when you failed the FCAT and the teachers were horrible and made fun of all the people who did that. We then realized you had a problem, and the first thing that your mother and I wanted to do was protect your self-esteem and self-belief. And then when you go back to the public school system, you pass the FCAT and you graduate college in 3 years, because I believe the reason you do this podcast, the reason you step out of the norm, which makes me very proud, because if you do the traditional shit, I'd be very disappointed, even in you, Ryan. That's the way I look at stuff. Yeah. I mean, 2.3 kids in suburbia, you're a freaking failure. I'm sorry. I went to the Bucks game Monday, bunch of lemons there, all spending stupid money to cheer for because they're losers. and they want to feel that they're successful. So say, we won, we did this, we did that. You didn't do a damn thing. Why don't you do it yourself? And I'm so sick of people making excuses for not achieving things on their own. So if you take a direction that is different, I'm all 100% in.
You are just so judgmental. I mean,
I
can't. It's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusing.
Well, that's why you don't live with me. I'm not married to you.
I don't even like you. I love you, but you, I mean, like, really? Who are you to judge the people that are at the Bucks game? I mean, like, who?
I can tell you because
them.
For the beginning of time, there's something called bread and circus. The Caesars did this. They gave us the gladiators. They gave us entertainment. They gave us baseball. They gave us football to control us. All this is about control and manipulation by people, and the owners of the Bucks and the owners of the NFL are laughing all the way to the bank because it's designed for them to make money and control the populace. They give us a little bit of welfare, so we don't revolt. We don't vote with intelligence. We're pro-military all the time, rather even if you just wash dishes in the military. We have to think for ourselves and do what we need to do based on what's in our own nature, what's calling our heart, if you will, God, to follow.
I really think what's really kind of, I feel like, okay, since Ryan's moved down here, obviously we've gotten really close. And the similarities, honestly, between Ryan and my father are very, very high. There's some good things and bad things in there, but in the sense of, I'm sorry, I don't know, I was sitting here and me and Ryan have had a lot of conversations, obviously on air and off air and a lot of things. And I think, you weren't raised by him, and at the end of the day, you weren't, but there's qualities are so striking. And so I feel like the argument saying that it's nature or nurture, there's two different things. And when I also think about my sister and the two ways me and her are so different, look at Laura. Laura is brilliant. My sister, she is so smart, like you were saying, but you know what? She's content working and doing whatever she's doing.
She will underachieve in her dad's
but she's
view,
happy.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing, but I'm talking from my perspective, which is not her perspective. Or your perspective. I mean, I always push her. Look, I don't care what you do. Just give 100% at it. I don't care. If you want to be a comedian, I'm like, okay, let's do it. If you want to go whatever, go do it. But give 100%. Make your life worth living. Anybody can spread their legs and have sex or screw or have a baby. Anybody can exist on this world. But what are you here to do? Quit belly aching and achieve something and leave something for our children and grandchildren in the future. I can't tell you how much money I've spent helping kids achieve their goals. I mean, millions, literally. I mean, because to me, it's about following your destiny and quit making damn excuses for your life and achieve it and quit complaining. Like you're so self-centered. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking in general. Be optimistic and go forward and make the world better. And if you're not, get the hell out of the way.
I do see where you're going with it, but there is definitely, I think,
it's a little harsh. You're coming off a little harsh.
Well, if you want truth or not, I'm not sugarcoating. I don't go out in the community and say this to everybody. I'm not going to. But you wanted reality. That's the truth. I'm so sick and tired of belly aching. And I'm a liberal Democrat, which is funny because if you listen to me, I sound like a right winger because entitlement people. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of them. I have a law office in Minnesota as well, and boy, I am encircled by people who think they're entitled because they're breathing. They ought to have help and aid and this and that. Get off your ass and do something, and work. Today, if you're unemployed, you're a loser because there's tons of jobs.
No.
But hold it. Okay, but you're doing something.
I'm not talking about me. I don't blame people who want to take welfare instead of working some shitty ass job for no money.
Okay. I don't disagree with that, except for one thing. I had a client once, and I go into his house, and he's getting an assistance check. And I said, man, he was a young guy. I thought that is fucking great. Now what are you doing? You're getting money every month from the government. Please tell me you're doing something. No, I'm just hanging. Oh, you fucking moron. Take the money and then go create something with it. You got an opportunity that I didn't have, except through my dad for 4 years, of some money. But when my dad paid me, I worked. I never stopped working. 1, 2 jobs, always creating and making it happen. I'm not going to reject your money. But I'm not going to take that money and just sit on my ass.
I also feel like there's something a little bit different with like generational, like also the shift that where we're at currently and in the like world we live in now. It's so different than what the world 100%. Was even when you guys were growing up or even in when you were first having kids. It's not the same. We can't just go really buy a freaking house for $50,000.
It's always been the same.
You're going to be, yes and no, but it was easier,
I
feel like,
we're
to
all
get
human beings.
Aid.
No, listen, that's again excuses. It depends who's using the excuse.
It's a pretty good one. I mean, the fact that every day, it is proven to be more difficult to do a lot of things.
It's not, you don't win and lose based on how much money you have.
I'm not saying, and just, it helps.
You're winning, but you're a winner if you follow your destiny. That's my
I agree.
belief.
But most people, if you got to work to survive, you can't really even...
There's
it's not that. I just think for a lot of people, it's just not that
There's
again,
NPR.
I'm not talking about myself.
There was an NPR program which I loved, and they said they were interviewing poor people in the third world, which my sister and I know a little bit about. And these poor people in the third world said, "I love to be poor in America." And they said, "What do you mean?" Where poor people are fat, where poor people have TVs, where poor people have microwaves, where poor people eat. We in this country are so spoiled. Right now around the world, I can show you places, and I've seen, and it makes you cry. And we're all Christian, but we don't do a damn thing about it. We'll put a wall to stop people who are hungry from getting help, and they call themselves Christians. We are so blessed. The worst person in this country, we always like to say as a joke that, when I see somebody begging on the street, what a waste of a Social Security. Because there are people dying to come to this country to work, not because of because they want to feed their children, and we are so blessed. So when I hear Americans complain that they're in poverty, go screw yourself. I'll show you poverty. We can work if we choose to. We can get help if we choose to, either by the government or programs, depending on the state you are. But to really that's my whole point. Quit complaining. Let's go back to the time of my dad in the Depression, and now you want to see hunger. No, people stop complaining and enjoy your life and quit complaining about your existence. Stop it. Churches are full praying for this, praying for that.
I feel like I don't do that. There's obviously part of that's definitely 100% for me accurate, for sure. Obviously, we are fortunate and we are privileged, 100%. But it's also being aware. It's the balance of being aware of the privilege. And I think more people have to be aware of the privilege, but also we do have these standards in America that we've set. And once again, I'm not saying, yes, one very, very fortunate that what we have, but I think it's also just getting people to realize more the privileges that they have, whether it be privileged in how smart they are, privileged in the people that they know, privileged in the money that they have. I think it's just more of the issue is getting people to be aware of the privileges that we have.
Your success is not determined on how much you make. Your success is determined within you, in my opinion. And Allison is right about judging other people. She's correct with that. But I think when you judge yourself, if your marker is how much you have in your bank account, you're failing. Even if you're a millionaire. I've made millions, and money does not bring you happiness. It gives you peace of mind about certain things, but true happiness, you think the woman that's with you loves you? You're an old fuck. And you got this young woman, you think she really cares about you? She'll drop your ass in a nanosecond the minute you don't make the money. Or you think you have friends, and something happens to you, see who's next to you and who's there to help you. And that's what makes a person rich. You could have no money, but you're beloved.
That's me.
I feel like,
Well, you are a success, Ryan.
No, I think that is you.
Yeah, I wasn't joking.
Absolutely.
I'm rich as hell.
You are very rich.
And recently, actually, too.
In different ways.
Well, we'll see how that works. That's for the week. We'll talk next week, then we'll see about that.
It's on a month-by-month basis.
Okay.
Do you feel like you guys ever regret not living by each other closer? Or living by the parents?
I do not regret living closer to CJ.
No.
Again, that's because...
I love him, but I do not like him in large doses.
That's because of our lifestyle that our parents got us, because we didn't hang out with our grandparents. We were in Africa, for example. They were in Minnesota. We never were raised around family, except for our immediate family. Yeah. So we are not used to being close to... Mom stayed... I talked to Dad about this in the United States and in Florida, and not go to Costa Rica, which they should have been. And Dad was just talking about this. His life would be a lot different and easier. because mom wanted to be near the children. And what was funny to me, the children were always near to her. But I think she was working on the idea that if she's overseas, we couldn't get to her. Even though today, I mean, we don't pay for it. It's what's that, WhatsApp? You don't pay for international calls. Back in our day, I was talking to Dad about that. It cost a fortune for him to speak to his mother. And, so everything's changed.
Yeah.
So I think we were raised not to be close to our family. And so we are a product, again, of the environment we are raised in.
Yeah, I mean...
I just happened to meet a guy in North Carolina and married him and stayed. I had no plans to live or intentions to live away or close to my parents.
It was never thought. For me, being someone like I feel like I lack so much of the family, though, environment that I wish we would have had personally. And I don't know if that's ever something, I know you guys sometimes reflect and look upon it like, what would have Dad done? But I feel like from my perspective, even on my mom's side, they're from the UK, and then you guys are in North Carolina, and obviously I have such a different relationship with Stella and Ryan, with Stella and Papa, because we for years went up every Tuesday to go see them, and Stella would take us to Chuck E. Cheese, like the whole 9 yards. And I feel like I sometimes, I don't know, maybe I know you guys don't handle each other well, but I don't know. To me, I look at it as me and my sister and how polar opposites we are, and even though I don't get along with her a lot, I still like the value of her being at family gatherings and being here and being knowing that I could call on someone no matter what. I don't know, that to me, I don't know, maybe because it's just I didn't have that, and that just seems so appealing to me. And I guess maybe that's the sole reason why you wanted to settle down in a small town and have that.
If Allison calls me with a need, I'm there.
I'm
going to tell you something. I was in 20-some years ago, 30 years ago, I was hospitalized and had blood transfusion. Allison drove down. I will never forget that. I'm always grateful.
Drove down
Also, I want to say this
gosh.
too. I was having a hard time with you when you were. I thought you were in peril, and Mark called me, and he mentally helped me through that period. So I'm very grateful to Mark and Allison. And no matter how I sound, we're just different. That's it. But that's my other last point, is that you can be different, but you don't have to hate them. You don't have to agree with them. I mean, that's the beauty of this country. That's right. The beauty of this country is that we can be freaking individuals. Yeah. And we're taking that away from each of us now. If you're not Christian, if you're not this, if you don't believe that, if you don't... I can be radically different from my sister, but I can see she can do whatever the hell she wants. I'm not her daddy,
I also agree. First of all, though, there is quite an age difference between us. He is 5 years older.
My wife's 20 years younger. Come on, man.
No, I meant so that growing up, literally when I was 12, he was gone. Well, it's like he was gone. I was in, I might have been in Rome. He was in, Florida.
That is kind of wild.
So we didn't get together even for holidays. We didn't, there was, maybe we saw each other once a year, maybe. So,
that's weird.
So
her principal year, she was in Rome for the last 2 years of high school and 2 years of college. So she wasn't even living with my parents.
Right.
So she was on her own.
So
literally.
It's not like
that's
we
wild.
got together for holidays. I know 5 years is not a huge age difference, but when you live in different continents and, most people traditionally would get together for holidays and whatnot, we didn't do that. So we aren't close.
But I think that's America now. Unfortunately, most people don't know their neighbors. Now, maybe in Etowah it's different. Everybody knows your business.
I do not know my neighbors.
Okay.
I don't want to know my neighbors.
Yeah, okay. But, back when I go to Colombia, for example, and with Maria Claudia, her Saturday, all her family gets together and they do what they call asada, and they grill. And so there's uncles and aunts and 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 80-year-old people. And there's a big group, and they all grow up together. I'm not sure if it's good or bad, because then you get all the bochinche, as they say, all the BS of everybody. The chisme, as they say, right? You got the language. And so, but then when you look at the United States from afar and you look down, at one time we were small communities, like Dad, when he goes to Shakopee, where he was mayor, we go through the cemetery. That was, it was my first baseman, and he was on the baseball team, and he knows everybody. They were born and raised and died in the same community, and that's our parents' generation, Allison. So now, your brother lives in California, your aunt is over here, your dad and mom are over there, and when you get old, what do they do to you? They put your ass in a freaking old folks home. I mean, they won't even... In Colombia, Latin countries, they still bring the old people. They still show up in the park with the young kids, and they sit there and they drink their whiskey or whatever the hell it is, and they grow old watching the new generations raise. And I think we're missing that in the United States.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I
feel like that also goes into the even the household situation that we're living in. And I know it's not necessarily like the big family. I know you're talking more family gatherings, but I feel like there's it's part of that, like the generation, like it's okay. Like, and I feel like it is shifting somewhat because before, you'd go and you'd get married and you'd get your own house. Now more of like people our age are still living with their parents. They're living with more people. But
because you don't have a support network that
right?
you might have had before. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know, but I feel like, but the foreign, like, when you're looking at it, like when I think foreign countries, it's more like traditional to have the grandma still living in the house, have the mom there. You have more of that family,
you don't have the money. You have to do it. Even if you don't like it, you have to do it.
But
I mean, and then when you're down, your people are going to pull you up. Right? Who else to pull you up?
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly. I mean, if you don't have family, I feel really bad for my friends that don't have children. And to me, because I think you live forever, not when you die and you go to this fake heaven. You live forever through your children, through the genetics you create, because we are products of our ancestors. And to me, and then when you get older, there's nothing better. I don't know about boys, but there's nothing better than the love of your daughters that take care of you as a dad. Guys, they usually only come back when they want money. That's my experience.
Let me hold the 20.
I think I'm screwed. I have 3 boys, and
I could be wrong. I'm only kidding.
I had a daughter,
How does that feel? Actually, I'm very excited to be a mom one day. Hopefully, fingers crossed that happens for me. But I think it's so crazy that you
know that. Not use birth control.
I
it's
know.
not complicated. People do this.
We got at least 3 more years, okay? But, I think it's crazy. Also, that you had 2 girls and then you ended up with 3 boys, completely opposite of also like the, I really hope I only have girls, to be honest. But who knows how that also goes. I don't know. I just find it so interesting. I don't know if that is something like, why did that happen? I don't know. I feel like the universe, or I don't know.
Women who create that. They have a chemical.
Anyway, yes, I don't know how that happened.
You got lucky.
I got lucky.
I think Ryan is sort of a son of mine indirectly. I mean, I've inherited him recently. Yeah. I mean, he cost me money like my daughter. So,
that's right.
I
appreciate that. And to being sincere, that the family here has done things for Ryan that I could never do and cannot do, and emotionally cannot.
I know. Let's throw it out to Teresa because she's the one that
to Teresa.
Shout out to Teresa.
Hi, Teresa. Who opened her home to Ryan, who did not have a home, or would not have had a home if he hadn't been in a car accident. He would not have had a home, and that's the truth.
Well, I think Allison, you're just bringing this up, but I think when Ryan had the car accident, and I learned at that point a lot about Ryan, and that I never knew.
Right.
And as family, I don't know if I could have made a difference or done something, but maybe because of my assholeness. You're worried to mention anything to me, but I mean that's the one thing that when we're all separated that we lose is the concern of family looking out for each other. And no matter what our political beliefs, no matter where you are in the spectrum of life, family and people you love is who you love, and you're always going to, if you have any kind of common sense or caring, you're going to be able to reach out and take care of one another. I mean, and you up in Etowah, I didn't know what you're going through. I just know you come down once a year in a really bad mood for some reason and bitch at me. I thought it was just me. I didn't know. But if you're going through issues and the family is not aware of it, and I'm not saying you were, I mean, because I have my own goddamn issues too, but you couldn't help me and I couldn't help you. And I don't know. I just don't know because I see 3 really cool kids up there. And I don't know how it is to be married to Mark. I just know Mark. I don't know how you go through your life, and we just didn't have the connection. And I think that's the tragic thing of what's happening in this country in a way, or maybe the way we're raised, that you're not close to your family.
Yeah.
I think though it's not talking. Once again, it's one of the reasons why we started this. This was also the biggest reason when we were coming to the realization of like when I was really getting to know Ryan and being like, holy shit, I don't fucking know him at all. And I was like, I had no idea, even the lives you guys lived, and it's genuine. And even when we were talking about, we've been talking back and forth about you even lately, and I was like, I'm nervous to talk to her because I really don't know you, to be honest. You mean like I love you, obviously, and I'll always be there, like you were saying. But at the end of the day, I those connections are not there, and that's why we wanted to start talking about stuff is so that it should be in passing. Some of these conversations should be okay to just be talking about and speaking about, and not feeling like you're going to get judgment upon these things. And I don't know, it does sadden me. I think like you were saying with the country, because it is inner families. The inner families won't even want to start sharing their. I don't know. You don't want to bring people down, It's also that. It's like, I don't want you to, you feel like you have to be like, do something, for me. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But that, to me, I feel like that was such a big pivotal moment for me, and for at least for me, for sure, why starting this is just to be talking about these issues as, openly as possible.
Well, I think you're correct that the beautiful thing of your show, and some shows, but some stuff it hits, and it's just about communicating with the people you love and the people around you. It's super important. Mm-hmm. The one thing I wanted to say that I just discovered when I turned 60 was watching the dynamics of my mother and father. And I remember, because I lived with them for a year or so too, at the end of my mom's life. I was there when she passed. And, she wanted to die at home, and she did. But I remember, before she died, my mom and dad had a fight. My dad was an asshole to my mother about $100. I mean, just a complete dick, which he could be. And he said some really caustic, horrible things to my mother. And I remember speaking to my mom, and she goes, that really hurt me. And I went to Dad and I said, listen, go apologize. I'm not apologizing. My dad always think he's poor for $100. I mean, it's stupid. When my mom's dying, he finally goes to her and apologizes. And I learned from the lesson, because every day after her death for 2 years, I heard him cry and say how guilty he felt for having done that. So what I tell people now from my experiences, and I know I sound like an asshole sometimes to my sister, but I always say, if you love somebody, if you love them enough to marry them, if you love them enough to live with them, and you're having a disagreement, a fight, an argument, that's okay. But don't say that one thing that you can never take back. Do not do that. I've learned that at this age. You can have that fight. You can have that fight, but you cannot say that one thing that they may forgive you, like my mother did to my dad, as she turned to me and put her finger at me and said, you take care of your father no matter what you think he's done to me or what he is. And I'll never forget that. But I will say this, that my dad has paid the price emotionally, mentally, for that abusive behavior, because you can be forgiven, but it will never be forgotten. Mm-hmm. So Teresa and I love Teresa. She's my ex-wife. Divorced, 20-some years, 30 years ago? I don't even know. 87, I think I was married to her. 97, I was officially divorced, something like that.
When I was 2.
So she, it's not her fault that I'm immature. We're the same age. How do people, and I'm an attorney, and I've done divorces back in the day, I want to screw that guy. I go, why? It's 50-50. What is your problem? Why do you hate this person you love so much? Well, they cheated on me. They made a mistake. It's over. Yeah. Enjoy and think of the positives of the relationship, and don't focus on the negative. And I remember Stephanie, I was talking to these kids who were giving me crap about my marriage, right? Mm-hmm. You know why, Ariana, etc. Mm-hmm. And I said to Stephanie, I think, or Jazz, I said, you mention things that I don't even remember that are really not pleasant. I said, I refuse to remember the negative. I refuse to talk about it or even remember it. I will only remember the positive of my relationship with your mother and with you all. And if you want to bring negativity, go screw yourself. Because we have the option, and this is part of mental health maybe, of keeping in all the negative, or just saying, fuck it. I'm not going there. Yeah. And I think more of us should
about,
blow off the negative.
But it's about letting it go in a healthy way, because we can suppress the negative, the thinking constantly, but that doesn't necessarily, to be able to just let something go. Like you were saying before, words can cut deep. They can freaking cut deep. Like, I know for sure, the apple sometimes doesn't fall far from the tree.
Exactly. Remember that. I learned this from my father.
Yeah, and there I know some ingrained moments that you've told me in the past. I was like, like ripping someone's head off and shitting down their neck.
Well, I mean, if you disrespect your father, there is going to be a consequence. So you're in my office in front of the people. Anybody disrespects me, there's the fucking door. It's not complicated.
But that's hard, because though also sometimes not in disrespect, it's about trying to communicate also your want and your emotion, your feels, and how you feel in that moment.
There's no communications. That's the way it is. That's why I have my office. I'm God in my office. Outside the office, I'm nobody.
She's like, no, she can't. She can't even. You have good words. Just sometimes they gotta be.
No. I think those are what you try to live by. Who the hell said anybody's perfect? If you find a perfect person, I show you a liar. Not even Jesus Christ or the alleged Savior was perfect, was he? Mm. So I mean, but I'm just saying, if you love the person, you got married, you love them, how can you? First, if you're cheating on your spouse, stop it or leave them. Respect your spouse. And respect. I've learned this. And the other last thing I want to say is appreciate your mother. For God's sake, it took me, a long time till recently to appreciate your mother, who holds you, bears you 9 months, destroys your body, her body, deals with your shit. And then bails you out constantly and puts up with you and feeds you. And they may not always do a great job of it, but they're your mother. I cannot handle disrespect to the mother. And if you ever did that to your mother, I would take your teeth out and smack you so hard it'd be ridiculous. Because, and I think those are the things that I'm now starting to realize at my advanced age. In which I'm not really that advanced. I still have the swagger. Because I'm more like Ryan. Right?
That's right.
So I'm just saying, if things don't work out, just move on and love the person that you were with. And don't worry about it. And again, I'm trying my best, Allison, to release the negative around me, and I release it by being who I am. I just and it's gone. And other introverts, they hold it, like Teresa will hold it for like 20 years, and she just becomes depressed. I don't know how to do it. I just and I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I think that might be part genetic thing though, because Laura's the same way. I'm not. I'm like Mom. I listen to every single word, and every word hurts, and it carries on.
You can't take it back. You need to think about what you tell people, because they might forgive you, they're not going to forget it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I have people sitting at this table that have said some very hurtful things to me, and I can forgive them, but I'm never going to forget.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yes, exactly. I try to be very, very mindful of what I say.
At least for me, anything I say a lot, I won't remember. So.
Well, that's where I'm trying to get. Yeah. I should listen to my sister and take the drugs.
We're blocking out the negatives.
Well, no, it's true. I mean, I really believe that. Yeah. I mean, negative is all around us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We can always have an excuse or a reason not to. Yeah. But I mean, so overcome it, and and maybe you ignore it. Maybe I don't know.
I read that book, Man's Search for Meaning or whatever. You ever heard of that one?
No.
It's the dude he's like in the concentration camps, but it's about just it's up to you. How you choose to look at things.
Titanic is sinking. You could just be with the orchestra and play. You could drop to your knees and pray to God, or you could actually think, "Well, shit, this thing is cold water. I got to do something and stay afloat till rescue comes." The guys that thought do something. Door. Well, my point is that you can either do something or do nothing, and so if you got a problem in your life, do something. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I guess you got to do it in a respectful way. in a respectful way. Save yourself in a respectful way. I don't know. I feel like as a big picture, we have to be.
And people will step on you and kill you to save themselves.
Yeah, but you know what? My integrity, I want to keep intact. Personally, like someone for me, like I will go. Okay, I'm not gonna step. I am not an aggressive person. I overcare. I overshare, and I do not.
I have a case where a lady was burning to death on the side of the road. People stopped, they pulled out their cell phones and were filming the death of a man, my friend, and his girlfriend, this lady who ended up being a client. One person out of all those people stood up and ran into the fire and saved her life. I would like to think I'm that guy. But am I? I don't know, because I haven't been in that situation. Yeah. But most people are not like that, 90-some%. You know, baseball, I was at a baseball game with my secretary years back, and I said, if a ball, we were right behind first base, it was spring training, the ball comes out, you know, ball was smacked, bang, it comes right at, I ducked. I let her sink it. My reaction was to save my ass. I didn't fucking stand there. I was logically going to block the boat, try to catch. I hit the dirt, and that was her problem, you know? And that was my reaction. Yeah. Am I that heroic? Am I that? No, I wish you're right, Ariana, but my jest of people is that we are pre-wired to save our ass and to fuck the other person, emotionally, physically, in whatever way. All of us.
But that's why people who overcare get dragged through the dirt the most.
Empaths.
Yeah, it's hard because
it's exhausting.
Read The Prince. Read Machiavelli, and I always struggle between Machiavelli and behavioralism. I give everything to the world. I spend all my money on people, and then I get fucked by those same people. This is why Trump's popular. If you take care of yourself and you just fuck everybody, they seem to respect you more. In my office, if I'm the nice guy, they step on me. The minute I show strength, they follow in line. Don't ask me why, but this is the reason I'm the way I am is because I've been cultivated and moved towards that direction. If you want an attorney, you want me to win. I'm the best at what I fucking do. I know what I'm doing. If I am, I don't know, but that's what I believe, and that's where I move the people, and they will follow, and I made millions doing it. You know, so my point is you have to believe, and you have to and you got to make it happen.
I'm interjecting here. This is exactly why I did not want to do a podcast with my brother. I have not said 5 words, and
not with you.
Be quiet. And this is exactly why being around exhausts me. If you're an introvert and you are with someone who does not even stop to breathe.
Well, that works out then.
It is so hard. I'm exhausted. Yeah, but you haven't. Ryan has said 2 words. Ariana has said 3. And you're going on and you have.
I listen to them all the time. I've never been on the show.
How many minutes have we done? 45? We probably covered 10 different separate podcasts you could do.
That's not the point.
10 different. But I'm just saying, you know what? Just stop and breathe a minute.
Don't invite me to the podcast. That's how you do that. This is how different
we are.
So, but get over it. That's what you are.
How can I get over it? Shut the hell up and let someone else talk.
Fuck yourself.
This is the way.
Fuck yourself. This is your problem. This is why you're gonna always be a goddamn loser.
I swear, my husband, he's so soft-spoken and quiet.
How does he put up with you?
No. Okay.
How does he put up with you? You talk about me. My God, you are me. The only difference is that you don't have my dick and I don't have your vagina, because if you were with my dick and balls, you'd be the same. I feel sorry for Mark because you are a complete dictator. You may be quiet about it, but you are horrible. I feel sorry for that man. And why he doesn't big slap you, I don't know, because I would defend him and the jury would say not guilty. I promise you, because I do that for a living. Not guilty for smacking the hell out of you. Please do it, Mark.
Oh my gosh.
The judge would applaud. Everybody would be happy because there's no difference between us. Fuck with this differences.
Baloney.
You're just a female version of me.
I am not.
Oh, yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I am not.
You're not as loving or caring?
I'm
Obviously.
I am not anything.
Oh, boy. People are going to say, what a fucked up family. No, but you know what? We're just the normal family.
That's right.
Not sure.
Oh, they're lying.
Okay. I mean, I don't know.
Everyone's
I mean,
dysfunctional.
no one knows what a family's like until you live it.
No, we're normal people.
Same with the couple. You don't know what a couple's like,
or you don't know what normal is.
Normal is abnormal. That's the beauty of being human.
That's right.
But who wants everybody the same way?
No, but I think, but it is also like, how do you live in obviously excitement, but also in like in also not overly excitement. I think there is a balance between living on like, you know, like, okay, like I'm in a very stable relationship. Is that it's a super stable relationship? It's great. But you know what I mean? What's the difference when someone says, okay, if it's like, I'm happy, I'm content, is there something else out there? Like, I'm just saying, as a big picture of like, there's all these other things that we can be doing. And how do we know if it's like, we're being content and this is the safe choice? Or do I need to be out there making some, you are like, let's go jump off the bridge and let's go. And you're like, no. I don't like where's the middle, you know? I don't know. I don't know. How do you know in life personally? Is like, I feel like what I struggle is like knowing in life when's the right time to take that extra risk and when's the time not to like understand that, you know, you have a stable whatever or family life, or when do you push the boundaries? When do you push, change this job?
I think when you're ready, you know what you're going to do. And talk about, Ryan, to me, like if we talk about addiction and, it's something similar I want to say is like when Ryan wants to conventional treatment and how it doesn't work, and it didn't work for him because he wasn't ready to hear the message. So when you're ready, you're going to make the choices. When you're ready,
with or without treatment is the thing.
When you're ready, you're going to be clean. That's my opinion.
100%. Yeah.
Right? So if you go to treatment and you can't treatment if you're not going to hear the message or you're not ready to do, you're not ready to be clean.
I want to.
The treatment
but that's what I'm saying, though.
They try to treat everybody the same way.
It's a joke.
The little bit, but it works for some people. It does work for some people. CJ, would you please just be quiet and let me finish the sentence? What I'm saying is, if you go and you're ready to change your life, it might be effective.
I'll just tell you, as a professional that deals with drug addiction in the courts, the money that is made by these institutions, which are ordered to go to, is ridiculous. And I really question the value of some of them, and particularly when they're trying to pray it out of them. So they need help. They need creative ways of changing things. But my opinion is that the system sets people up for failure. When you have a criminal charge because of drugs, they'll put you on probation and you got to take drug tests and you're not clean. They slam you in prison for years and they don't resolve your issues. And the treatment centers are part of the big dollar mill, whether they work or not. I think it just happens. They're not that helpful. I really don't. I think the individual changes it themselves. My experience.
That's my point. That's the only point I was making when you jumped in. Is that when you're ready to make a change, when you're ready to change your life and jump off that bridge, you'll do it. That's my point.
I just don't think they help very much.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I think that if you are ready, you will make a change. And I also think that rehab, for a lot of people, is not.
For a lot of people, it's not. But for some, it is.
Yeah.
So is jail.
Right. Yeah, I think jail is also a very effective treatment for some people.
Well, they dry you out. They dry you out in jail, and then they throw you back in right to where you came from. So if the kid is okay, you. I'm amazed that you got a problem. All right, let's not talk drugs for a second. Let's say here in our county we have Horizons as a school. So you're a troubled child. So what they do, they put you with other gangsters and troubled children, and then they wonder why you fail. I can't tell you the amount of clients I've had that are in are in prison for doing heinous things because they learned that at Horizons. If you're a parent and they're going to send your kid to Horizons, don't let them, because what you're doing is sentencing them. Just like you send them to rehab, what are you doing? You got a group of fucking drug addicts and then have access to the greatest drugs, and you wonder, am I wrong, Ryan? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you are 100% correct.
What should we have done?
I'm not talking about you.
What do you do if you have a child who has an addiction and you want to help them and rehab doesn't work? What do you do? It's a legit question. What do you do?
I don't know. I don't have kids.
Well, I
mean, what's the answer?
I don't have. What I'm saying is that there has to be help. What I'm trying to say is, and I'm gonna say something you're gonna freak out about. I'm not the expert in this topic, nor do I have the solution except to say, which I do know, that the current system it gets an F and an A for money.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying
right.
throw kids away. Matter of fact, as you know, when you were having a problem with Ryan, what did I say? Send him down here. You know, I didn't know what to do, but I knew. Here's what I'm going to tell you why I did that. Because if Ryan, and I didn't know Ryan what his deal was. I really didn't. But let's say he's a heroin addict, and he's an addict, and his friends are dying. 3 of his friends have died. And say it's my son. My biggest fear is that it's selfish. If I don't do something, and he dies, how much is it on me for not doing that, or not having health insurance? So maybe that rehab program sucks, but at least he can go to a rehab program. I'm cutting off his insurance. I'm going to cut him off. Maybe that's what needs. Some people think that's the solution. Just cut them off and let them whatever. I say you do that, they die possibly, or they're living under a bridge, or what have you. So I don't know the answer except to say that as a selfishness is as you're my nephew, I feel I help a lot of people. If I don't help you or try, then I'm guilty if something happens to you.
And I think
that's how I look at it.
And like I feel like with the rehab thing and like sober living, in theory, you think that these things would be a good idea. And I mean, at the time, I feel like there wasn't even, I needed to just be anywhere. So I mean, it's not, I don't have any issues. You know, I'm not saying I should have gone.
I think leaving your circumstances was positive.
First of all, just
leaving your people that were giving you, that you knew.
Even that, yeah, even just going away for X amount of time was helpful.
The other thing I think is you're creative. So what I saw is that when I said, here's a computer, start doing YouTube, what I saw is that I put you in the office, right? And I go, fuck, this guy's not an office guy. That'd be stupid. If I force you to be an office guy, you're gonna definitely do drugs. You need to be who you are. That's what I saw when you came. Mm-hmm. And I knew I also knew I'm not the guy you need to be with. That's why you're here. I mean, it's not because I didn't want that responsibility. You know, it's just that I also knew that I'm not that guy. You know, so I know my strengths and weaknesses. Mm-hmm. What I do is I support Ariana a lot because she has taken care of my father, and indirectly you guys have. That's how I always approach things. But I thought after seeing you for a little while, you're super creative, and having creative daughters, I also knew that Ariana doesn't have a traditional job. And Laura refuses to go to law school also. I mean, they're not traditional people. Mm-hmm. They're creative people, and you're related to them. So I figure, you know, if you want happiness, you can't beat your dad. You said that even on that show you were on. What was that show?
Road Trip Nation.
Road Trip Nation. That's a beautiful show. You haven't seen it, please watch it. It was on, is it NPR, WEDU? It's one of those. It's on PBS. He came out on that, and I said, this guy is a star. He is. He's not only an attractive man, the blue eyes, the beautifulness of what he is. Definitely takes after his uncle. Or Mark. But no, because I knew right then and there. And that show was so prophetic because what was it about? Guys that can't work in the office. And you even put your dad down on his job, which was stupid, but I won't say more than that.
Hey, it made for good entertainment.
But I feel like though the question that sort of got lost though is like knowing the gut instinct. I feel like for Allison, I felt probably at the time you were going with your gut instinct, thinking that this is what's the right decision. And I think that's where I go back with like decisions in life, like knowing if our gut, you say go with your gut, but what if the gut's what, you know what I mean? There's all these factors, and you try so hard, and if things don't change, and you know, I know we're looking at perspective of him, but no offense, but like when I worked for you for 3 years, I tried so hard to change you when I shouldn't have. I'm not going to change you. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I tried so many tears I shed trying to think I was doing the right thing. And obviously I wasn't doing anything that was beneficial for either of us.
Anybody.
And so
in the business.
And that's the point though. Like, how do we know when the gut is right or not right? When do we know
it's
when
not
the
one
decisions...
is right or the other. Allison did what she needed to, and we picked up the ball, and then you picked it up, and Teresa picked it up, and it's a family thing. I'm not judging Allison. I'm not judging that. I'm not trying to. And what I'm saying is that family is there for family. And if we don't try, but it's hard to help when you don't know.
True.
There was a tremendous amount of shame. I'm going to own it. I didn't want to burden anyone else with it. You know, what is it? Hindsight is 20/20. So many things looking back. I should have seen the signs. I never thought that his addiction was an addiction. I thought there was drug use. I knew there was underage drinking, and there were incidents, which luckily I'm thankful I don't have a great memory, because if I start going down that path, there's a lot of things that I regret, and signs I should have picked up on. But when it became obvious what we were dealing with, you know, there's shame from me. There's shame. I own it. It's very hard. And so I wasn't going to pick up the phone. As much as I love you guys, I was not going to pick up the phone and say, my son is a drug addict. And so we dealt with it the best way we knew. And if there are parents that are listening, you just do the best you can. But yeah, I mean, like I still, you know, had to work through so much. And just being on this podcast is such a big freaking deal. It is, because I live in a world where you want to put down a small town. There are benefits to being in a small town, but there are people there that I guess probably know things about you I don't know that I'm
There's
learning.
a bunch of haters.
Yes, there are, but there's a lot of love there too.
Why does West
100%.
Virginia have more addicted people than anywhere else? Small time America.
I don't know.
And I think that's because there's creative people stuck in a place they don't want to be or should be. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I don't think
but
it's creativity or lack of showing creativity that led to addiction.
You're
mean,
not happy.
did you go, oh man, I'm not fucking happy, let me just start shooting up? Is that how that works? No.
I don't really know what the sequence of events was.
Right.
Personally.
So
I mean, at first it was fun. It was a lot of fun. For
okay.
Sure.
I mean, who knows how people end up where they end up, or how they end up addicts. I mean, but I mean that's literally.
I mean, a big thing is boredom. I mean, boredom is a big.
Well, I'm going to tell you the thing about our life that was unique, that was good, in my opinion, is that if you're moving somebody, and this is the negative, it's the negative and a positive. You're up. I remember friends I had that we moved to another country. They're no longer my friends. But let's say I'm into a bad element.
Right.
I move. I'm away from that bad element.
Right.
And I couldn't get into that trouble.
Right.
Like you can if your kids are always with that group. And I remember a lady that worked for me. Her daughter was getting into trouble all the time, and she said, you know, I realized I always blamed the other kid, you know, like what a bad influence Johnny has. And then their kid was the bad influence.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to ever admit that their kid is the bad influence.
100%.
You know?
Ryan has friends that have passed whose parents wanted to blame each other for the OD death, the overdose death, for the suicide. He was a roommate with one, and when we went to pick him up, they went to, you know, because he was living with his friend, and to carpool from college, they wouldn't bring Ryan because Ryan was the bad influence on their side. So there was a lot of that blame. Oh, it's your fault. And one thing
we were all equally bad
thank
influences.
you. One thing I can say is not once, not ever, ever have I blamed any of Ryan's associates or friends for his choice. His choice.
Yeah,
and I would never blame them. I would never, you know, and they've done that. They needed to blame someone. And I get, especially with the overdose death, you got to blame someone. And I imagine as a mom, probably I mean, you want to blame someone because you know what? Otherwise,
We never wear
you're
the
going to be
black
hating
hat.
on your kid who's gone.
Yeah,
We
and
never
I mean,
never
also,
wear the
I
black
mean,
hat.
how do you blame your child who's dead?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. You were like, I would never blame. I just feel like
I didn't like some of. No, I never blamed him.
Okay, I didn't say. I'm not saying you blamed anybody. But there definitely. I mean, there were people. I wasn't supposed to hang out with because they were bad.
I didn't like them. There was a personality. I had a big issue with one of your friends. I didn't like him from the time he was young. Like, not even as an adult or a young adult who was doing drugs, who had a terrible reputation. I did not like him, his personality. You also have another friend we lost that I loved, and you know that. And he was doing the same shit with you as the other one. So you can't really go there. I mean,
I'm just saying. I mean, I feel like you're just painting like sort of an unrealistic picture, kind of.
I don't. I didn't want you hanging out.
I wouldn't say blame, but I mean, you definitely.
Like
I remember. Maybe my memory is fading.
I mean,
there were people I was not allowed to hang out with. I guess because she did.
What?
To me, that's like the same thing.
You did anyway, didn't you? Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, 100%.
So maybe I tried to say, hey, let's change your crowd, whatever. I don't like him, but you did it anyway.
Well, the only way I know to do it without here's how I manipulate people is I won't tell them that. I'll just move them.
Well,
and that's how. No, I'm not saying you did. I'm not criticizing your opinion. I'm just saying that's how I deal with things. It's like I see a problem, and let's say somebody's dating somebody I don't like. If it really bothers me a lot, I might make a move, but they're not going to know it came from me directly. If it's that critical of a thing, I wouldn't move but that's me. That's not you. And that's not your situation. But that's because I probably enjoy it anyway. That's an excuse. I mean, I live on a freaking boat now. My God, I don't. I have a different mindset. I don't live in America. Traditional. Mm-hmm. I'm not. I don't think that way. But one of the things I did was that I quickly made a decision about Teresa. When we got divorced, I mean, I lived in Duplex City. I had no money. I gave her the house. Took all the debt. And that was because I wanted my kids to make sure that they had everything because I didn't want to risk anything. And I knew she would be a great mom. And here's the difference, in my opinion, is that we had girls. I'm sorry. Guys are stupid when we're young. I mean, generally speaking, it's different. And it's different. And I'm telling you it's different because now I have 2 boys that I'm dealing with. It's different. They think different. I remember when your kids came in, your brothers, you had a fight. I thought somebody was going to get killed. I was freaking. And you were just like regular, normal fight with your brothers. Yeah. The girls don't fight like that. I mean, there's a different... Yeah. Usually they get into trouble in criminal. Okay, let's take to the criminal world I live in. Women are in trouble for drugs, and usually they're with the guy that does something. Yeah. It's very rarely that they're the ones that create the problem. Very rare. It's the guys that bring the shit on.
I feel like the big thing there, I think one, maybe why females are a little bit better maybe at that is one, I think at the end of the day it's about listening and once again talking, and that's the whole perspective. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel with Ryan in any kind of, with anyone I've been like talk with, it is as just important to listen with no judgment and hear what the person has to say and maybe take a minute to process that and then talk the next day. But but it's important. Like if you're not listening, actually listening to what people need.
But that's what I believe that, if you will, my talent is that I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm bad at. And I know I'm bad at that.
Listening.
Okay, yes. So what I do is I put somebody with who I think would do that. You understand? And it's not by accident. It's done with intent. And you may not believe me, but I do that all the time in my business. And I know what I am. I don't need another guy like me when I go to trial. I need a guy completely opposite of me. We have a big trial, January 3rd, political trial here. I intentionally go to trial with somebody that is not me, that does the things strongly that I don't do. I don't need somebody like me. And I know I don't work with certain situations. And I know you do, for example. That's why you deal with Papa. That's why in my way, I was even, I had you on payroll, but you were really working 24/7 with my father. You were doing things that I couldn't do, but I knew it was important that you could do it for me and for us, just like Ryan. It was this house was the place for Ryan, not with me on my boat, doing my thing, doing my business. He's not a lawyer.
I think though, but you're
I object.
I just feel like the point is though. I know you're saying obviously if things don't, we start a business. Ryan can write very well. So like me, I cannot write. So like, yes, that makes sense. But I'm talking about as a person, just as a person, everyday person, even though you lack the inability as well to listen, it is one of the most important things we have to do. We have to listen. We have to hear what people are saying because we can't.
When you're a certain age and when things are changed, you know what you're strong at and you know what's not. So when I realize I'm not a positive influence, I will change the situation. That's all I'm telling you. I'm not disagreeing with you. Listening is a great talent. Matter of fact, if you're listening to this show, you want to learn, you should take psychology, learn how people function and relate in school. It's probably one of the most important classes I never took. You should learn how to deal with different personalities and different people. I mean, we do that as lawyers, believe it or not. I'm not dumb. I just don't feel like I need to compromise at my age and how I am now. I work too hard to get where I am, and I'm not going to compromise it. And that's just the way I approach it. But you are correct. But there are certain people that have better talents at certain things. And I think, for me, you are one of those people. I mean, you're the most, compared to your sister, loving, caring, always there person. Your sister hasn't, maybe I can count on my hands the amount of times she's seen my father. And you've been dealing. You were there when she died. On and on and on and on and on, and that's because it's your nature that. And I'm not knocking Laura. She's just a different kind of person. Just like when I see Andrew, that's a different kind of man than you, Ryan. You're so different than your brothers. Maybe Kevin's close. I don't know. I'm just starting to learn my nephews, but raised the same way in the same household. And different human beings. So my point is that I try to get the talent of what I know of you and have you deal with the situation. Also Teresa, I know Teresa's strengths and her weaknesses also, but what I can tell you is that I have absolute love for all of you. And I know I'm a burden and I'm a problem and an issue, but hey, I have my place too.
That's right.
I guess we all bring our own.
Everybody's got a role to play.
Yeah, but talk about it. I'm not, that's my thing. That's why I love your show. We'll hold it in, and it can't be better. I love my sister, and I know she hates me, but
I love
she's
you.
just jealous of me. I understand that, but I still love her. But I also like to poke. And she's so easy to explode. I don't even have to say anything, and she gets upset.
My husband says that when we're together, we revert back to our childhood.
No, we didn't have that kind of a problem in childhood.
Well, then I don't know what the hell happened.
No, I used to pull you around in the wagon. We used to. I'm talking back when we were together, because I think she makes a great point. Her most impressionable years, she wasn't around my parents either. Mm-hmm. She was in Rome by herself. God knows what. She's going to throw it. She's been threatening to write a book about Rome. I've been waiting. Oh God, now it's becoming. I'm going to die before she publishes it. But I want to see, And then I think she should take her kids back to Rome, to the Roman Forum, and explain where she used to drink and party with the, and all the things she used to do, because we frankly don't know what she did.
That's right.
That should be another podcast. Just have her on and talk about Rome.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of good times.
Yeah. I think she's going to be doing one at some other point.
I know. That's probably a really good place, I guess, for us to wrap up, because we are going to have Allison later on the episode to really dive down deep into her and understand a little bit better. But I want to say thank you guys so much for coming and being here. We didn't know how this was going to turn out.
I think it went well.
Yeah, me too. I think it went pretty good. I don't know how you guys feel. Well. You feel good? Feel good? Yeah, maybe.
I'm always feeling good. I think I made that clear. Spin it positive, baby. I'm all right.
But all right, as always, you guys, thank you for listening in, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Time to go to work.